Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another vlog from the Brian Speaks On channel, and coming from the YouTube channel of the same name. I am Brian, and well, first, before I get into my topic, I just wanted to let everybody know that I made a Facebook page with the same name, Brian Speaks On, and these videos will be subsequently transferred over to that page as well, shared from this channel onto the Facebook channel as well. So for those who want to keep up through the Facebook channel, I welcome everybody. I appreciate all the support given, and yeah, let's just continue to get this dialogue going. Today's topic is something that I want to talk about because I do have kind of a personal knowledge, and it's a topic that affects me a little bit more personally because of my background of doing a particular job. Basically, I wanted to talk about the situation that happened in I believe it was South Carolina, with the young girl that got thrashed around by the school officer, and all of this reawakened these feelings that have been reawakened within a lot of people that want to talk about what they feel was appropriate and what's inappropriate, how these kids should be treated, and what level of discipline is required for that. Now, there are a lot of perspectives on this. I want to go into it from a particular perspective that I am able to offer because for those that know me, I was once a school cop myself. So I wanted to talk about the systemic issue of the way this works, so people can have a better understanding of the process, the lack of procedures followed, and just the general psychosis of everything as well. Being a school officer is one of the most difficult jobs out there, you know. So best believe I feel, you know, a certain level of bias towards when I see certain things happen within school systems and stuff. Now, that being said, and for those that know me, for those that keep up with me, I am one of the most harshest critics as well at the same time, especially from that event that happened. What makes me such a harsh critic is kind of like when you're a bartender and you know someone made a drink wrong. You know, it's one thing to know as somebody who sips the drink and you just go, this just doesn't really taste the way it's supposed to. But when you're a bartender yourself and you watch another bartender make a drink and you go, yo, the way they made that drink was completely wrong. Like, they're like purposely just messing the drink up. You know, so you have a different level of understanding about it. Now, with that being said, being a school officer, there's a certain manner of psychosis behind that. You have to have a certain build about you to even be able to do the job. With that comes this high level of negative energy all the time, and with that also comes a certain level of lack of respect from all sides. You know, you get a lack of respect from the people for whom you're supposed to be keeping safe. You get a lack of respect from the school administration, for the most part. You know, I can't speak for other towns and other cities and stuff like that. I can really only go off my own background with the NYPD. You get there's a big lack of respect for school officers, and I call them school officers. You know, more normally, these officers are called safety agents, they're called security guards. You know, they're giving a lower ranking level title from what it is that they're actually responsible for doing, which they're responsible for the lives of the people in the building, basically. That's a big responsibility when you think about it just from that aspect. Now, of course, we're talking about schools and stuff like that, and people tend to get lax when you speak of, oh, well, it's not like you're doing much in there, it's just a bunch of kids in the school. Now, we all have seen various tragedies happen in schools to understand, like, those days don't exist the way that they used to when we were young. So when it comes to stuff like that, I give them a lot of praise for what they used to do what they do now. That being said, I cannot excuse the horrible procedural misfires or the complete lack of self-control and discipline going completely outside of the bounds of their job when I see it. The situation in South Carolina is definitely a prime example of that. But it's one element within a systemic problem. But of course, when we speak of systemic problems, they tend to fall down disproportionately and negatively towards a particular group, normally Black and Hispanic people. Now, in this instance, we're talking about children. Now, I can go into the understanding that there is plenty of research data to support the systemic issue of the disproportionate mistreatment of Black and Hispanic kids. The fact that they're regarded as more unruly and in need of a stronger level of discipline than their counterparts who are non-Black. The amounts of kids who are actually arrested for doing things that other non-Black kids don't even get suspended for. Like there's research data to support that. If you don't believe me, go visit my Facebook wall and you'll see it for yourself, because I post stuff like that. Now, part of the systemic issue is that there has to be a general understanding, bottom line, of when a school officer should be put into any situation in a school building. You're still talking about a building that consists of minors, and kids who are in school are where they're supposed to be legally. A child is a juvenile, they're supposed to be in school, that's where they are. So legally, they're where they're supposed to be at. So they should already be treated with a level of courtesy just on the strength of that. Now, we all know kids are kids. They've always been kids in the manner of having an attitude and stuff like that. Most people that have an understanding of biology understand that just from simple biology, teenagers are irrational. They don't respond to authoritarian talk. You know, they don't respond to authoritative figures. You know, it's just a natural it's a natural system of them growing up. Their natural biology dictates that they are a certain level of irrational. Now, to get deeper into the systemic issue, going specifically off the South Carolina case, the fact that he was even in the classroom boggles my mind, because what people are labeling as this child being disruptive and ruining the educational process, I find that very hard to believe, because every time I look at that video, I'm saying, what is she doing to actually disturb the educational process? She's on her phone, you know, which, if you want to talk about that being rude, that's fine, that's debatable. But we're not talking about being rude we're talking about her doing something that consists of breaking or violating a law that required a school cop to be there. And a school cop is only supposed to be there when there is a threat of danger, a threat of physical imminent danger to that person or to anybody else within that person's proximity. That girl is displaying neither. The fact that she was just on her phone is not a violation of any kind of law. The fact that schools allow phones in the building and allow other kids to have phones in the classroom, that's a school administrative rule. That's something that falls within the administrative sector of handling things. So if a kid is on their phone, that is not cause to call a school cop. That is cause for a teacher and school administration to take care of that situation. Now, there is a chain of command system set up that teachers and administration is supposed to follow when it comes to handling disruptive children. Calling a school cop is the last thing on that chain of command. Now, you could talk about a teacher feeling a certain way and they don't want to get into it with a child. Okay, that's why you call assistant principals, you call principals, you get a para for that. Most high schools, at least the ones here in the city, have their own they have their own school administrative security detail they have people who act as security guards within the building already, who are part of the school administrative staff. They're the ones that you call when you have a child that's being at least verbally disruptive and disrupting the educational process. And if that kid is proving themselves to just be completely physically out of control, and you feel like they're now a threat, that's when you call a school cop. So what happened in that video, in my opinion, is a person basically going from A to Z and skipping B through Y. You know, how did you get from that to that? Now, the other thing that irritates me about that situation is the fact that the school system, let's not be naive about the school system itself. When it comes to these kids, a lot of these kids in these schools who display behaviors like that generally tend to have some kind of issue going on that is, you know, dictating that behavior. The thing about a lot of these schools is that the school administration is already aware of these behavioral problems that these children have. They're aware that these kids are taking particular medications. They're aware that these kids have certain mental issues going on. They're aware that these kids have family issues that are dictating the behaviors that they're having. Why do you think that they're allowing these kids to be in certain schools? Now we get to the crux of other things. These schools want kids like that in their buildings. Why? Because it generates money for the schools to have them in these buildings. When you have a child who is of a certain kind of behavioral issue, depending on the issue, that can qualify said school to receive certain funds, certain extra funds for having and housing these children. Now, is it wrong for a school to house these children so they can get extra funds? I wouldn't say that it's wrong. What I would say is wrong is that you house these children knowing that they have these issues, but you do nothing to actually give them any form of mental, emotional, or psychological counseling to help them. They just allow these kids to be in these buildings, and if God forbid they don't take their medication or whatever and they lose it, now you're handling them and you're treating them as if they were a problem that you were not aware of. And now you're calling the school cop, who is the one person who doesn't know this information about these particular children, and now they have to handle these children as if they are a particular kind of threat that had they known these kids may have been of a particular problem, may have handled the situation differently. Now, I'm not talking about the guy in South Carolina. He was just out of control regardless, but I'm just saying, a lot of circumstances could be avoided if information like that is known. Now, again, the staff knows that, so why isn't the staff treating the child in a particular manner, knowing that they have a particular condition? You don't see that. You don't hear those stories. You hear those stories after the fact. Like when someone, like let's say with the girl in South Carolina, we all come to find out that this girl has, lost her family and is supposedly an orphan, and, just got to that school, so she doesn't know anybody. She has no friends. She's dealing with emotional depressions and things of that nature. We come find that out later. But in the midst of all of the, right there in the moment, all we see is a kid getting thrashed around. But the people who are responsible for this child's welfare, which is the school, because when your child is in a school building, by law, the school takes responsibility as your child's custodian throughout the day. They are responsible for your child's welfare. They are the ones who know what your children's problems are. And yet, this is the way they handle it. Now, again, when you think about it, why would the school want your child to get better? Because if children get better, who have problems, mental problems and stuff like that, that may affect their funding. That might mess their money up. Now these administrators aren't getting paid more money to have these kids in their building. It also benefits them to have these kids in their building for attendance numbers, because the more attendance numbers you get, the better chances you get more funding for your school. That's why you don't see a lot of these kids get suspended, because then they're not in the building. They're not keeping the attendance numbers up. See, there's a lot of systemic stuff that goes on. There's a lot of like I said, there are a lot of psychosis in play. There's the psychosis of the children who need help. A lot of them need help. They're acting out, and they need help. They need counseling. There's the psychosis of the school officer who basically gets no respect from anybody around him, and that's within the department as well. School cops are not regarded as real officers, even though they have the same responsibilities and the same stresses that a normal cop has. They have to arrest people the same way a normal cop has to do it. They process people through the system the same way. We got the same police academy training. Everything up to everything except for gun training is the same. The understanding of the penal system, the penal codes, things of that nature, police processing, arrest procedures, all of that is the same teaching, the same training. The self-defense stuff, all the same. So you mean to tell me you get all these responsibilities with less than half the pay and none of the respect, and you tell me you're getting basically negative energy from every side, and you're going to keep coming to work, and you're going to do your job to the best of your ability. Now that requires a lot. You got to be built for that. And like I said, for the most part, for the ones that do their job the best that they can, I can only applaud that. But let's not act like there is no systemic issue going on in this situation. There's a lot that you parents are not being told that goes on in these schools that you should know. And I hope that I gave you a little bit of something to help clear some of this up. It's about money. It's not about these children. It's not about the children's welfare. It's about money. But what else is new? So that's my somewhat insider information when it comes to these types of things. And if there's something that I'm leaving out, or if there's something that you feel like I should have spoken on, please let me know. Throw a little comment here and there. It's all good. It's all about the dialogue, and I just hope that I was able to give some information that you may not have been aware of, especially as a parent. You need to be aware of these things as parents, what's going on in the schools and what should be going on. But with that being said, please subscribe to the channel. Please support, like the Facebook page, the same name, Brian Speaks On. I will be getting up with y'all soon, because I'm pretty sure something will happen for me to speak on eventually. Alright, so with that being said, let's all be blessed. I hope all of you have a wonderful evening. Take care. Later.